Yeah, no.
It's a great game.
All good.
I appreciate it.
All good.
To Courtney McPherson, a resident of the town of Bethel in the county of Oxford, greetings.
In the name of the state of Maine, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Bethel, in said county and state, qualified by law to vote in town affairs, to meet at American Legion, Muntz Allen Post 81, 85 Bethel Street, in said town, on Tuesday, the 11th day of June, AD 2024, 8 o'clock in the forenoon. Then and there to act upon Article 1 and by secret ballot on Article 2 as set out below. The polling hours therefore to be from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. And to notify and warn said inhabitants to meet in person at the Crescent Park School Gymnasium, 19 Crescent Street in said town on Wednesday, the 12th of June, AD 2024 at 6 p.m. Then and there to act on Article 3 through 66 as set out below to wit. Article 1, to elect by written ballot a moderator to preside at said meeting.
A motion to dispense with the reading of the warrant.
The motion is out of order at this time.
I'm Carly Casey, was elected yesterday morning as moderator. Today, we have a deputy moderator, Terry Hayes, who has graciously agreed to conduct the meeting. I felt as a member of the community, I want to be out there with you and say my piece. So we have someone from outside the community to lead us or guide us through the process.
Thank you, Carl. I'm going to hand the mic back to you. Article 2, to elect all municipal officers, assessors, and school board directors as are required to be elected. Pat McCartney was re-elected as a select board member. George Angevine was elected to the Board of Assessors, and the school board budget passed. I do not know yet from the Mark Kenny who the school board directors are.
I'd like to try this without the microphone, but if you can't hear me clearly, I will use the microphone. Can you hear me? Yes. There's a gentleman in the back saying no. All right, I'm going to use the microphone because I want to make sure that you can hear me, okay? I'll do this.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Carly, and thank you for the opportunity to be here to help with this civic process this evening. Before we begin the actual meeting, the select persons had asked me to announce that the select board itself has chosen to award the 2024 Spirit of America Award to the employees of the town of Bethel in recognition of their service to the citizens of Bethel. If there are any employees are present, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Would you do me the favor, please? Raise your hand if you were here last year. Oh, great. Were you here last year? Okay, good. So who can tell me what your job is tonight? This is not a trick question. Okay. Okay, so I'll help you out here. Your job tonight is to listen respectfully. Whether or not you agree with the speaker, your job is to listen respectfully. And there will be occasions when you want to speak, when there's something you want to offer to the debate. And when you want to do that, you raise the card with your name on. And I write down your name, and at the next opportunity, I call on folks in the order that I see their names. If you're talking, and I didn't tell you you could, you're not doing your job. Remember what your job is? Listen respectfully, okay? I mean for everybody. Some folks will have questions, some folks will have comments. At the end of each item, we'll take a vote, and that'll be the decider, and we'll move on to the next thing. But it's important to me that you know, if it's your turn to talk, you know that it is because I've told you. And if I didn't tell you it's your turn to talk, it's not your turn to talk. Okay? And we're going to listen respectfully because that's going to get us through. I have to tell you, I've been moderating town meetings now for more than 25 years, and I've never had one that had 66 articles on the warrant. So let's hope we're able to do this. Okay. Any questions about the process? With unanimous consent, I would ask that we use the main moderator's manual as our technical assistant if there becomes some Robert's Rules type issue. Is there any objection to using the main moderator's manual? Seeing none, that will be our practice should we need it. And now I am ready to move on, beginning with Article 3. To see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 5, Administration, Article 5, Financial Procedures, subsection 5-42B, Town Manager and Finance of the Town Code. Is there anyone who wishes to make a motion on Article 3?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Article 3 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Lucy? So the question is, didn't we vote on this last year to move it the way it is now, so now we're making another change? I'm looking for someone who can answer the question.
And Michelle, yes. Last year, it was changed from $100 to $1,000, and now this year, we're looking to strike that. We're looking to strike it to bring it back into proper governance. And what this deals with is purchasing and the town manager's responsibilities and authorities to purchase. And it goes in compliance with state law, as well as if we strike it, it doesn't conflict with our code. And it also restores the chain of custody in the purchasing sequence. It allows the select persons to do their job, provides the managerial control again for the select persons to do their job.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article number 3? Thank you, Michelle. Seeing no other hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article number 3, please raise your card. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 3 carries. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 5, Administration, Article 5, Financial Procedures, subsection 5-47, Sale or Disposition of Tax or Sewer Acquired Properties. Is there a motion on Article number 4? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Article number 4 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the article? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 4, please raise your hand. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion, Article 4, carries. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 5, Administration, Article 6, Boards, Committees, and Authorities, subsection 5-59, Conservation Commission. Is there a motion on Article 5?
Second.
Article 5 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Joelle?
Is this new to the code or an edit?
I'm looking. Thank you, Sarah.
It's an edit. We just wanted to add education to the language so that it would increase the scope of what the commission could work on.
And I'll just remind folks up front, if you could use your outdoor voice when you're speaking, it will be a little bit easier. Just the next time, just speak up a
Yeah,
little.
I don't think this microphone is working because when I was in the back, I couldn't hear Michelle.
I think that's their,
That's the TV.
that's not on my, it's not.
Well, that settles that. It's just,
So we don't have a microphone?
there's another one here, and if we need it, we can pass it down. Thank you. I just want to be sensitive to the folks that are sitting further back and may have some difficulty hearing. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article number 5? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article number 5, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article number 5 carries. Article number 6, to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 140 Site Plan Review, subsection 140-12, word usage and definitions be half-story. Is there a motion on Article number 6?
Second.
Article number 6 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 6, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 6 carries. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 5 Administration, Article 2, Board of Selectmen, subsection 5-13, approval of wastewater treatment and airport budgets. Article 3, Town Manager, subsection 5-20, annual budget and capital plan. Article 4, Departments, subsection 5-33, Airport Department. Article 5, Financial Procedures, subsection 5-36, Types of Funds. Is there a motion on Article 7?
I motion
Thank you.
for
Second.
consideration with recommendation that this be adopted.
Okay. I need you to clarify something for me. Your,
So moved for the purpose of discussion.
oh,
For recommendation that the vote be no.
so the matter has been moved, it has been seconded. I'm sorry, ma'am, could you hold your card up? I can't see your name. Candace, would you like to speak to what you just, your motion? Thank you.
I've had a lot to do with Bethel Airport for a lot of years, going back to the 80s and 90s. When we had the little dirt road, the little hut, and outhouse, and it paid for itself. People came in, they bought fuel, they paid what it cost, plus credit card fees, whatever else, you get tie-down fees, get any money, it pays for itself. This airport is not paying for itself for a very long time. In our current way of doing business, it's an enterprise fund, which means the airport is supposed to be self-supporting. For a lot of years, without all of us knowing, hundreds of thousands of dollars have been transferred to cover fuel, so that people can come in and get fuel for less than it costs off the truck. Never mind what it costs for the credit card fees and all the rest of it that goes with it, the testing and all of that. There's been nothing being charged other than the leases that have been kept current on the hangars. So hundreds of thousands of dollars has been transferred without us approving it for a lot of years. If we switch this, they'll go right now, they're charging about what it costs off the truck. But if we switch this, you're all going to get the bill for people coming in and getting their fuel. And if you haven't been over there, this building is supposed to be open to the public. For anybody to use, like the people walking the trail, need to go to the bathroom, need to get some water, it is supposed to be open for that. It is closed because it's been abused. It's abused by all of us who don't have airplanes. So the doors are locked. If you have someone coming in, you can't even get into the building to use the bathroom and to get your people's stuff through. You have to get the stuff underneath and deliver it underneath the gate. So I would strongly encourage you all to vote no on this if you don't want to have a runaway budget to this airport. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 7? Go ahead, Chairman.
Chair.
You have to vote her in.
Sure, thank you.
Because Ms. Jackson does not live in Bethel, in order for her to speak at the town meeting, there needs to be a vote by 2/3 of the residents to allow her to speak. We'll only have to do this once. There may be other pieces of information that she has would be successful. So would someone make a motion that Ms. Jackson speak?
That the chair be allowed to speak.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. And again, it's not debatable at this point. I would ask all those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. Sharon, you have the microphone.
I'm Sharon Jackson. I've been town manager here since October. The airport department is supposed to be an enterprise account. It is not. It is not. It does not support itself, and it hasn't for several years. Years ago, the airport was under different regulations with FAA, And today there are a lot more requirements that cost a lot more money. The auditors have pointed out several things. One of the first things the new auditors pointed out that this was not an enterprise account. In our code, if the airport budget is more than $175,000, then the amount over that has to be voted on by the select board, and then it has to come here to be voted on by you. In the past, when the airport budget was overrun and didn't support what was budgeted, the money was transferred from the town's general fund account, and it was put into the airport account because it had to balance. By making the change, making this a department of the town, it will be done exactly like every other department in this town. The highway department, the transfer station, the sewer district is a enterprise account. The administration account. So in the budget this year, the budget is just a little over $300,000, so that's why it's on this warrant. And what that will do is the budget will be done by me. I am the town manager, and I'm also the airport manager. The budget cannot go over the amount that is voted on here by the people. And that budget will be monitored by the town manager every year, just like the town manager monitors the rest of the department budgets, so that there are no overdrafts. This actually is the best way to do this. As far as hundreds and thousands of dollars, in the past, like I said, if the budget was over what it was allowed, then money had to be taken from the general fund. So you can be assured that the amount of the budget that's being proposed now will not be in an overdraft situation, and money will not have to come from the general fund to balance the budget like has had to be done in the past. And the budgets that we currently have, administration, highway, and so on and so forth, those budgets are not balanced at the end of the fiscal year with the general fund because they cannot go over what was approved. I do recommend this. The select board recommend this. The airport authority recommends this. This airport is owned by the town of Bethel, and it needs to be maintained by the town of Bethel. The other thing that I would point out is FAA regulations prohibit public use. The airport has been opened for public use, and according to FAA regulations, it is not supposed to be. The airport is for the use of the pilots and the pilot passengers, and that's it. The funding for this airport does come from the town taxpayers. It comes from FAA, the federal administration, and it comes from the Department of Transportation. 5% of grant money comes from the town has to fund. 90% federal, and the other 5% is Maine DOT. So I would support your support in doing this so that we can make this a department of the town. Thank you.
Sharon, just turn the microphone.
That way, if someone else needs it, you can pass it down. Okay? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article number 7? Yes, Candace.
I think it would be advantageous if someone would read the original, where it said, whereas at the present, the airport is supposed to be and can only be funded by fees, and what revenues it generates, and what you're looking to do it now, and just stick it on to the taxpayers of Bethel, rather than through fees. Please have someone read the original, what they're looking to change us from, and what they're looking to change us to in relation to the airport, please.
My understanding, Candace, is that that opportunity was made available to residents of the town and others for at least a week.
It is in the paperwork for the statement, but we obviously do not have time to even go back and read this.
So, thank you for your comment. My question to you folks, is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article number 7? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of Article number 7, please raise your hands. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article number 7 carries. Article number 8, to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 46, Part 1, Adult Use, Article 1, Cannabis Establishments, subsection 46-1, Purpose and Authority, subsection 46-2, Definitions, subsection 46-3, Building Permit Requirements, subsection 46-4, Permit Required, subsection 46-5, Permit Application, subsection 46-6, Suspension or Revocation of Permit, subsection 46-7, Appeals, subsection 46-8, Right of Access, subsection 46-9, Indemnification, subsection 46-10, Compliance with state law required, subsection 46-11, Amendments, subsection 46-12, Enforcement, Violations and Penalties, subsection 46-13, Severability, and subsection 46-14, when effective. Is there a motion on Article number 8?
Second.
Article number 8 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Joelle?
Is this all new to the code? Because it's not underlined or struck through, or is this just edited?
It's edited according to state law, housekeeping, and what it did is it combines the 9 individual ordinances that are in the code into one, so it's not repeating the same thing in all 9.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article number 8? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article number 8, thank you for raising your hands. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article number 8 carries. Article number 9, to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 136, Signs, subsection 136-5, General Restrictions. Is there a motion on Article 9?
Second.
Article 9 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 9, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 9 carries. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to approve LD 2003 amendments to Chapter 140 Site Plan Review, subsection 140-3 Applicability, subsection 140-7 Special Regulations, subsection 140-12 Word Usage and Definitions. Is there a motion on Article 10?
Second.
Article 10 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 10, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article number 10 carries. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to approve LD 2003 amendments to Chapter 150 Subdivision 25 Subdivision with Affordable Housing. Is there a motion on Article 11?
Second.
Thank you. Article 11 has been moved and seconded. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 11, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article number 11 carries. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to approve pursuant to 30A Maine Revised Statutes Annotated, subsection 3004, the ordinance of the town of Bethel of a general and permanent nature adopted by the town meeting of the town of Bethel as revised and codified and consisting of chapters 1 through 160 are hereby approved, adopted, ordained, and enacted as the code of the town of Bethel, herein referred to as the code. The provisions of the code, insofar as they are substantively the same as those of the ordinances in force immediately prior to the enactment of the code by this ordinance, are intended as a continuation of such ordinances and not as new enactments. This ordinance and the code adopted hereby shall supersede the replacement of the 2003 code as amended and supplemented. Is there a motion on Article 12?
Second.
Article 12 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 12, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 12 carries. Article 13. Shall the town of Bethel, referred to as the town, appropriate the sum of up to $2 million to cover additional costs associated with the wastewater treatment facility upgrades project that was approved at a special town meeting held on April 14, 2023, of the project. And number 2, authorize the town treasurer and the chairman of the select board to apply for a grant and/or loan and accept a grant and/or loan from the United States Department of Agriculture in the amount of up to $2 million in order to fund the additional costs of the project, and delegate the treasurer and the chairman of the select board the authority and discretion to negotiate the terms of any loans received from the USDA on behalf of the town. Is there a motion on Article 13?
Second.
Thank you. Article 13 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 13, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 13 carries. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $291,144 for the administration department. The select board and budget committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 14? Is there? So the sum of $291,144 for the administration department has been moved and seconded in Article 14. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 14, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 14 carries. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $176,732 for the town clerk department. The select board and the budget committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 15?
Second.
Thank you. The recommended amount of $176,732 for the town clerk department has been moved and seconded in Article 15. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 15 carries. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $35,000 for the assessor department. Select board and budget committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 16?
Second.
Article 16 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Joelle?
Why such a large drop?
We moved some of the items to another budget. We had a full-time position that is now within the finance department, and we've added the duties of the assistant assessor, the assistant to the assessor, and the assistant to the planner to that full-time position that is now in the finance job.
Go ahead, Lucy, you have the floor.
The same question, but more generally, the costs are going down across many departments, so we can't all be moving around. How most things involve people going up higher or something.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
This is about this warrant item, but there have been costs, most of the ones coming up, but they just voted on it down. And so it can't all be juggling to other departments. How is it all being cut?
Some of the increases are due to salary increases. The decreases, we're not budgeting the assistant to the assessor and the assistant to the planner in this budget here. I'd have to speak to those separately. That's the reason for this particular one.
Lucy, I was going to interrupt and say, we may need to entertain that question on several other issues as we go through it. Okay? Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 16? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 16, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 16 carries. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $123,707 for the Finance Department. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 17?
Second.
Article 17 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 17, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article number 17 carries. Article number 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $66,500 for the Planning, Development, and CEO Department. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Article 18 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Aaron?
Yeah, Lucy's question from earlier, I guess. How did this drop so far? That's a third drop from us.
Go ahead, Sharon.
So legal fees have been taken out of some of the departments, and all legal fees are now in administration. So that would be the cause of one drop. Advertising is another one that has been taken out of all of the departments, and it's now being budgeted into one department. Does that help?
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 18? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 18, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 18 carries. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $14,829 for the Animal Control Department. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 19? Article 19 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 19, thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 19 carries. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $573,450 for the Police Department, Oxford County Sheriff's Services. The Select Board and the Budget Committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 20? Thank you. Article 20 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Aaron, I'm going to call on you, and I need to read do you have your name on something? I don't. Well, then I'll never read it when you hang it up, but I'll call on you next, okay? Aaron, you have the floor.
Could someone describe what this is going to pay for exactly? What kind of service will we get from the...
So the question is, can some details be provided about what kind of service we can expect from the Oxford County Sheriff's Department?
So there were handouts on the table. The amount that is in the budget, $573,450, that will keep services as they are. Right now, we're paying $422,000 for Oxford County patrol coverages for 4 dedicated deputies that work 3 a.m. to 3 p.m., and the 4 of them cover those shifts. That won't change. It just has the increase from the $422,000 to the $573,000. We asked for a budget to show what 3 dedicated deputies would do. That is on the other side of the sheet that was handed out to you, and that is $428,349. That provides coverage for 3, and what it does is it eliminates the midnight shift from having actual coverage here. Everything else remains the same. The, let's see. I think that takes care of it. And then that one there would have about a $6,000 to $7,000 increase from what we have. Does that explain it?
Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, in the red shirt? Answered. And sir, I got good eyes, but they're not that good. Andrew, you have the floor.
I have a couple questions. They're probably better suited for the sheriff, who noticeably is not here. But one of the items on that handout, it talks about projected sheriff's office non-personnel costs, $157,659. It looks like that's, they took a total 17% from, I assume it's 905,574. So that number to me stands out as a very large number. Obviously, we saw a pretty significant increase here. And my question to the select board, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, because if this is all you've got, then you probably don't have the information, but how is that cost, that 17.4, how did they come across that cost? I do know that it explains here that it was a percentage of the total non-personnel cost, which I believe, to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, means cruisers, maintenance, those kind of things. Did they specify that to the board at all in any of their?
That's actually what it is, and that's how they explained it to us.
We can't
Okay.
get
We don't have line items. That cost is what they explained to us, is exactly what you said. It's all non-personnel, cruisers, maintenance, stationery, office supplies, all of that.
We did ask for the break.
To that point, I guess, I noticed here it says 4 out of 21. So they're saying that, 4 deputies are being allocated out of 21. For those of you who don't know, I used to work for the sheriff's office. They have more than 21 people there. So to me, this percentage should be significantly less. Should be more in the realm of 4 out of 30. I don't know, and then maybe you folks do know, I don't know if they're just counting patrol, but I know between patrol detectives and the sheriff's administration, you're talking a number that's much closer to 30, not to 21. Did they specify how they came up with 21?
No, we
Okay.
didn't get an itemized breakdown. Yes, we did ask for it. Frank and I went to a commissioners meeting and requested a lot of information we did not get.
And did the sheriff receive an invite to be here tonight?
Not that I'm aware of.
So the other piece of that is, not only do I personally, I don't think that we should be paying 4 out of 21. I think if we were paying a percentage, it should be more like 4 out of 30. Which is 13% as opposed to 17%. But it's also my opinion that we, as Bethel taxpayers, we pay our county taxes as well. So it seems to me as though we're paying for this twice. Particularly that portion of the bill, we're paying twice. So I'll vote no against this because I would like to see the sheriff's office come back with either more details, but between the sheriff not being here to answer these questions and us not having line items provided, and the fact that it appears we're voting twice for this, I'll be not supporting this.
Excuse me, there is someone else who had their hand up over here, and I can't read it because you didn't write big enough, and I'm old. Sherry, you have the floor. Eliza, you're next.
Hi, I'd like to ask the select board what kind of activity we have in that overnight shift, because it seems like we're spending a lot of money on that. And I don't think we have the activity to warrant it.
Is there anyone who has data that they could supply?
I'm not going to stand, but I did.
Hang on just a second. We got a microphone.
I did go over.
You're going to turn it on.
I did go over months and months of reports that we were given, and on an average, we are having 7 calls per month between midnight and 7. I went through 4 months, and there was 30 calls in 4 months. And as far as Andy's comment, I think that at this point, if you vote this down, we would be out of the contract completely, and we would have to get a new contract. It's,
You may, Sherry.
There's also more information for that.
Sherry, everyone else needs to hear your question here.
So I thought that the alternative amount of what was it? 2349. Was going to be on here, so we could amend this and ask for that amount instead and keep our contract.
So for clarity's sake, you can make an amendment that is lower than the dollar amount in the article. You can offer it for consideration if that is your intent. I'd like to call on Eliza first, and I will come back to you to make that motion. Would that be okay, Sherry? Thank you. Eliza, there you are.
There's other overnight services that they do that people don't know.
Met with the sheriff to try to get some more information, and I know from a previous budget meeting, there was some concern on the select board that the sheriff wasn't meeting the contract as it stands right now. I heard from you, Frank, that I think right now there's two vacant positions. So I was just curious if someone from the select board can speak to why you're recommending this be approved. Because I agree with Andy, it seems like there's some pretty large concerns that this contract doesn't serve us. And I'm curious why, just why approval was recommended.
Thank you, Sherry.
The Budget Committee and the Board of Selectmen recommended the amount of $573 because that's the higher of the two amounts. If you actually have three choices. You can vote the article as written for the 4 dedicated deputies, and in several months ago when we started communication, they only had 2 dedicated deputies. They did not have the 4. They now have the 4. And so you can make that motion as it's written, or you can make a motion for the 3 dedicated deputies at $428,000, or you can make a motion to recommend $0, which this coverage would go away, the contract would be ended, and we would rely on the county to come when they're called. What happens is if they are here in Bethel and they get a call in this area and they're closer to this call and it's an emergency, they will leave Bethel and go to that call. So you really have 3 choices.
Thank you. Sherry, I told you I would come back to you. If it was your intent to offer an amendment, do you wish to do that?
Yes, I'd like to amend this motion to 3 dedicated deputies at the price of $428,000.
Is there a second to Sherry's proposed motion? Second. Thank you. So Sherry has proposed an amendment. We'll review it in just a moment. Until we dispense with that proposed amendment, the only thing we're talking about is $428,000 and 3 deputies. We're not going to talk about anything else until we've addressed the amendment, okay? So some of you have your hands up. If you would leave your hand up until I get your name down, that would be helpful to me. Sir, tell me your name. Aaron, you're first. Go, Darren?
Darren. Well, if you don't know me, I'm the former police chief of Bethel. I was terminated in 2003. We're here because, at this problem now, because a former administration decided that we didn't need a police department. And you lost local control. So now we're here. If you decide to go with, I'm against the 3 deputies. If you choose to go to 3 deputies, you need to understand that from midnight to 7, your deputy will not be out and about in Oxford County. He is going to be at home asleep. He may be in Buckfield. He may be in Albany. He may be in Otisfield. You are looking at an extensive response time when somebody's kicking in your garage door. If you go to 0 deputies, then we will be relying on 1 deputy that covers from basically the Lock Mills Bethel town line all the way to the Canadian border and as far east as Peru and Canada. That deputy would cover those entire towns. I have a fire extinguisher in my truck. I don't ever expect to use it, but I've got one. We have a sheriff's department for 24-hour coverage right now. I don't expect to use them, but I want to know they're here and not coming from 40 minutes away. So you can either pay to have coverage or you can pay to not have coverage. The reason we don't have the calls at night is because we have a sheriff's department out. I grew up in this area. When I was a kid, I was a hellion. We didn't screw around in Bethel. Why? It had cops. We went to Gilead, Woodstock, Albany. That's where we screwed around. We weren't going to come to Bethel. That's why there are no calls now in Bethel. You have a police department. You have a patrol. If that changes, you'll see those numbers increase. I assure you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person on my list is Aaron. Candace, you're on. Ma'am, what's your name?
Melissa?
Thank you, Melissa. Aaron, floor is yours. Aaron, you're talking to everybody.
Sharon, you indicated earlier that if we voted for 0 deputies, they would leave the area for a call.
The contract would be canceled.
Oh, sorry.
Not have.
Aaron, you need to use the mic. You're not just talking to Aaron.
If you vote $0, then the contract is canceled.
Okay, you made a statement that if there was an emergency outside the Bethel area, they would take that call and leave Bethel. And I don't remember which one it applied to.
So during any of the calls during any of the time,
Yeah.
if they needed a deputy to respond to a call that is 5 or 10 minutes from here, and they were the closest ones to get there rather than coming, say, from Paris where they're stationed, then they would send that deputy from Bethel. So that's a situation that would always happen.
That we have now. That is getting hurt.
And that's how it is now.
Right. Okay. That's the thing.
Okay, sorry for the confusion.
The next person on my list is Candace, and Andrew, I have you on the list, so you don't have to keep your arm up in here.
My name is Andrew. My daughter went to school at Hudson with Andy, and they worked together at the sheriff's department. She's been in Mexico, she's been in Paris, and now she's inspected with the state. Couple of things. 2 vacancies, next 2 vacancies for the entire county. We have vacancies all the time. Your shifts are still being filled. It's just, they move people around to make sure that they meet no contracts. I think the gentleman would agree with me that most dangerous times in the community is that magic time that you guys want to remove. I have to scan them. I have to shut it off for weeks at a time because it works on me. You don't wait for calls to come. Typically those hours, when you're going to have your domestic violence, detected suicides, your drug overdoses.
Candace, I know you have only to remind everybody, we're still talking about the proposed amendment, not the entirety of it. The proposal is to reduce the cost to $428.
And I'm saying, if you reduce it, you are going to see an explosion in crime. You're going to see explosion of burglaries, you're going to see explosion of break-ins of occupied dwellings, which means your home, when it's being broken into. I'd also like to remind everybody, while they've talked to us about how if there's a call in another community, our deputy may be diverted to deal with that emergency. Recently, we all had a really big problem here with a person who was extremely violent, had a history of stabbing people with syringes, who was going around, and I can tell you the deputies from all over the county came, because this was a multi-deputy, multi-officer kind of situation. I know you guys are involved with the ambulance crew. There was one deputy on duty in this area, this person had been to 3 businesses.
Candace?
If you cut this budget, you will lose that protection. And when you need somebody, they won't be there. It's just like that. They want us.
Thank you. Is it Melissa?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the floor.
Thank you. I work in emergency services in a couple of different roles throughout the county and the state. And so I like to think that I have a pretty good perspective. And I've heard some terms tonight that I don't think everybody understands. The first one is dedicated. So when we say we have dedicated deputies to this area, it doesn't mean what we think it means, right? And we've already talked about that a little bit. So those dedicated law enforcement men and women do get sort of diverted to other areas at different times, or particularly overnight, right? The time when we apparently don't have many calls, the time when apparently our occupied dwellings are going to be broken into. The Bethel deputy is the only one available. So if there's a call at dispatch and it's an emergency, that's the other term that I wanted to define because that's entirely subjective, right? Is it your emergency? Is it my emergency? Is it our emergency? Because when it's your emergency, it's emergent, right? But that's entirely subjective. So those 2 a.m., 3 a.m. calls, when our Bethel deputy is the only one out in the county, and somebody is having an emergency, that person's going there, and it's not 5 or 10 minutes away. I work on the rest of it.
Melissa, I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked Candace. I want you to speak to the proposed amendment, please.
Yes, and the proposed amendment is to drop 24/7 coverage, right?
That is,
when we drop that, and
I'm going to repeat, what I believe the motion said was to amend the dollar amount to $428,000 and limit the contract to 3 deputies.
so let's not be misleading. What does that mean? That means we don't have 24/7 coverage.
Right, I'm just wanting you to stay focused on that, if you would, please. Thank you.
In that case, we're already having difficulties with the sheriff being transparent. So if we go down to 3 deputies versus 4 deputies, or reduce this budget, right, who picks the hours that they're out? Do we pick the hours that they're out? Is it based on our need, or is it the sheriff who decides what's best for his agency?
The sheriff's department will, they've already identified what those hours will be. They determine this contract, not us.
That seems like a problem. They're not meeting our needs. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Andrew, you're the next.
Andrew, you're next on my list, and Darren will come to you after that.
So some of that is what I was going to say, not 5, 10 minutes, it's 20, 30 minutes. One of these deputies that's assigned to Bethel is a K-9. They get called anywhere they need to go. Not familiar with that concept. I do agree with what Darren said. You would be looking at a longer response time when we have 3 deputies as opposed to 4 deputies. Just like if we go to no deputies, you will also have a longer response time. My main issue here is the lack of transparency with the sheriff's office and the lack of accountability. I don't know of a way to hold them accountable other than to vote no on all of these proposals for now. That doesn't mean that I'm opposed to the sheriff's office covering them, but I don't know of a better way to hold them accountable right now. So again, my vote will be no on both of these motions for that reason.
I'm sorry, is it Ray? Ron, you're the floor. Excuse me, Ron, I made a mistake. I was going to call on Darren. You know what, guys?
Okay, to the 3 deputies, and I know we're talking about here, I don't care where the deputy goes, I just want him here. I really don't. To say that we don't want him to go to Gilead, I drive to Gilead, you drive to Gilead, but we need the 4 deputies. It's either all or nothing. And if you, now, let me ask the board this. If we do approve whatever budget, we can step back from it. Isn't there a clause in the budget that we can step back from it if it's not, if it doesn't meet our agreement? If we pass a budget today, isn't there a backup clause in it? I thought that was one of the discussions we had, that we could.
Darren, I'm going to ask you to hold that question for the main motion because it's not specifically germane to the proposed amendment. Please don't let me forget, because I'm likely to.
I think they're looking now.
Okay, then they'll be ready. Ron.
Yes, I'm going to vote against Sherry, but I would like to encourage the selectmen to discuss with our very rich neighbor Nuri, who gets the benefit of about 24/7 coverage. What's not being discussed, and I've asked this for years, is we're bringing these folks in. And it's not 5 or 10 minutes. In some cases, Ms. Jackson is correct, it is 5 or 10 minutes. But they can't go on a call. If they've got to go up to Nuri, up to Sunday River, if they've got to go to Greenwood, they've got to go to Woodstock or Hanover. I believe the sheriff's department has Dixfield hires them.
Yeah,
like we do in Fiverr?
No.
So it's just Dixfield. So we're basically, we're
Sorry,
basically,
Candace?
so we're basically paying to have these folks available, who I completely respect. So we're paying to have them in this zone, or in this area. They are leaving as a convenience to the other town, which they should. Yeah. One of my relatives or someone got in an accident in Albany, close by, they should. But we're paying county, we're paying twice, right? We're paying the county, which is the same as all the other towns are paying their share of the county. But we're making them available to the town of Bethel, so they can spider out to these other towns, which they should. The selectmen should step up, talk to the other towns, and have them augment this moving forward. I'm hopeful.
I know we're all struggling with this, but I've really got to keep you focused.
Well, I am focused because
You started out there, but then you got
I'm focused, but what I'm trying to explain is I'm going to vote for the four, but I would like to see the selectmen negotiate with these other towns. Woodstock could pick up some of that.
Right, but
Greenwood could pick up some of that.
Ron, I'm going to interrupt you again. When we get to the main motion, I will call on you again, and you can stand up and make that point.
I am not voting to share.
And thank you for explaining that. Okay? The one's in front of us right now is a motion to amend the dollar figure to $428,000 and reduce it to 3 deputies. Excuse me. No.
I'm just going to say that I think...
Carol, is it directly related to the proposed amendment, or is it the broader issue?
It's the most directly proposed to the amendment.
This is the dueling microphones now,
So-
you know.
I would like to just say we should vote down this amendment because the 3 deputies actually cost $428,349.47. So the proposed amendment wouldn't even cover the 3 deputies. So I think we should vote, get it down, and then go back to the regular discussion. Okay, that's it.
You can't. There's a motion before the body at the time.
Sorry.
So hang on just a second. Excuse me, ladies. Thank you. Sherry. Merrill has pointed out an error in the number that you offer. Do you wish a friendly amendment to address the number, and the number would become $428,349.47? Is there any objection from the seconder?
No.
Thank you. So, just a friendly amendment that makes that number coincide with the cost that was provided by the Sheriff's Department. I wasn't looking at who had their hands up. And everybody's, okay. I can't remember your name. Oh, I wish. Laura, thank you.
If we approve the amendment to reduce to...
Laura, yeah, keep out of
If
here.
we approve the amendment to reduce to 3 dedicated officers, will it be our decision that the overnight shift, as Sherry spoke about and as Pat McCartney indicated, was a very low volume timeframe? Will that be the shift that's eliminated?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that for our voting purposes.
So again, we're talking about that proposed motion that we've amended to the exact amount from the Sheriff's Department. Is there anyone who wishes to speak, anybody in addition regarding the proposed amendment? Okay, so now we're going to vote on it. If you're in favor of the proposed amendment, please raise your cards. Thank you, hands down. All those opposed? Thank you, the motion to amend fails. So the main motion remains raise and appropriate $573,450 for the Oxford County Sheriff's Department providing police for the town. Hang on just a second. Darren, I said I would go back to you.
Were you able to find anything?
I couldn't find anything quickly, Darren.
I thought we talked about it at one time in meetings past. I'm kind of confident that that we can back out on it, even if it were passed today, if it doesn't meet our needs.
Yeah, and I'm speaking out of order that, at least for me, and I think the select board, whatever number, if it is the 573 number, we're not satisfied because we want and need the answers that Melissa and
Absolutely.
Andy were talking about. So I'm out of order. I apologize, Madam Moderator, but we will continue to work on this.
I'm sure we'll thank you.
So I was looking, there was another hand up over here.
Motion to close debate.
Go ahead, Scott.
Motion to close debate.
There's no, excuse me. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to end debate on the main motion, which is as was read for Article 20. We have to vote on this motion, and it takes 2/3 to be successful. If you're in favor of ending debate, you will vote yes. If you're opposed, you will vote no. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed. Thank you. The motion to close debate wins. We're going to vote on the motion on Article number 20. Just as a reminder, it's to raise and appropriate a sum of $573,450 for the Oxford County Sheriff's Department services. All those in favor of the motion on Article 20, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Article number 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $305,730 for the fire department. The Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval.
So moved.
Thank you. Article 21's been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Mike?
I'm ex-fire chief. I'd just like to say my actual operating budget went down a little bit. The increase is all to the water district for the fire hydrant center.
Anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 21? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 21, raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 21 carries. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $473,536 for the ambulance department. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval.
So moved.
Article 22 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 22, raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 22 carries. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $825,955 for the solid waste department. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 23?
Second.
Thank you. Article 23 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Lori.
Yeah, I would like to have more information, explanation on how this amount is so greatly increased. And I also, with that, would like to know if there is any new fee structure that is going to help offset costs.
Did you all hear the question? The question was, what could you explain the increase? And is there any way to derive revenue of fee service to help offset the cost? And who's going to answer that? Sharon? Thank you.
The major increase in this budget is due to the cost of the solid waste disposal, construction debris, major increase to construction debris, shingles. That's where it is. And I mean, we're looking at tipping fees, single stream, it's all. There's no accountability as to disposal fees. You can come in and you can dispose of all the construction debris you want, and there's no charge for it. So I have been looking at options. I have some proposals on scales to bring in here. I'll just say this, if we had scales, the system I've been looking at that I'm going to be bringing to both the committee, the Tri-Town Committee, and to Newry and to Hanover, is if we had scales the last 2 years, we would have taken in, based on our amount that went out, over $500,000. That is a fact, and my figures do show that. So I think that in this next year, we really need to seriously consider doing, talking about putting scales in, and we also need to talk about having some type of fee structure so that we're paying to dispose of these costs that are so increasing this budget.
Is there anyone else?
We do bill Newry and Hanover every month for their portion. And right now, we are looking at those percentages because those percentages have not changed for many, many years. So we're also looking at that.
I'm going to go to Ron, then Candace, and then John.
I'm wondering when the last time we actually put that contract out to bid. I know we did a lot of no-bid contracts. So we put that out to bid in the last 5 to 10 years.
The extension that we just got that's going to be effective July 1st is the 4th extension on this contract. And so they extended it a 4th term. So the last time you would have gone out to bid would have been 5 years ago.
Which is a long time. There are other options. I would recommend that the selectmen look at putting that out to bid when they can, when it makes sense. And secondly, it's kind of a double-edged sword with the construction debris. You know, everyone that has their houses built obviously wants the new people that build to pay for construction debris. My house is built, so I want to let the next guy pay for his construction debris. But so just kind of keep that in mind. I'm a builder, so full disclosure. I try to recycle all the wood that I can with people that outdoor boilers. I hope other contractors do that. But keep in mind, everyone here that has a house used the transfer station while they were building their house, but then by involving in construction debris. But the new ones, it's kind of a one-time thing. Once the house is built, you know, they get on the tax roll. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're doing these. Everyone that's had a house is never paid because people are a charge of the dog. But the new people that are building, you know, you're asking them to. I don't know what the solution is, but I would love to see that put out the bid the next time if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Candace, you have the floor.
Last year, I aerated my park. I would regularly at 5:30 in the morning, because I went in early to get things cleaned up and had it all ready. I would have cars. I would park at the gate, and I would open the gate enough just for me to get by and go to my car so that I kid you not, I would have people that would push between my car and give me no choice but to open that gate. And then you dump their trash in the dumpster, and then I have bears. We've had problems with dumpings in the town grass dumpster. Now that's household trash. I can also assure you, there's a heck of a lot of garbage out there that people throw out, side the road, and what have you, and on other people's property. If you make this complex and expensive for people, as we said, one person builds a house today, their waste goes in, and somebody else is building one farm, we have all taken advantage at some point. If you go with a program like that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have more people illegally dumping on other people's property, and it's gonna fall on that person to clean it up, or it's gonna fall on the town to clean it up, rather than just bite the bullet, during construction, or, God forbid, after a fire, and let it go to the transfer station, and we all share in it on a steady time, if I've heard of something.
John.
So I have a couple things. First of all, how long would it take to put a scale in?
In 6 months' time. I did this same operation when I was manager in Freiburg. It's the same scale that I had put in over there. The layout of the transfer station here in Bethel is very similar to the layout in Freiburg. We're a little bit smaller here than in Freiburg. Scott and I have reviewed this, and the company is Main Scale. The scale system is the same one, and it's actually not that much more expensive than it was when I did this, probably now 8 years ago. And we would have to do some modifications to our layout for where the scale would be located, but it would be relatively easy, and it can be done in about 6 months' time.
So I
think that would be the smartest thing for us to do, is to immediately put a scale in to handle solid waste disposal, especially construction debris. Someone that sits in traffic behind a whole line of contractors on Wednesday morning as they're going to dump all of their stuff in the construction debris. The other thing is, why aren't we requiring contractors to have a dumpster whenever they're doing construction, so that we're not paying for that? Because I'm on myself, I have one paper bag worth of trash and a 20-gallon bucket worth of recycling materials. That's all I put in it every week. And I'm paying how much? It just seems like we need to address this quickly, because the construction industry is not going to slow down here. It's only going to get worse, and it's only going to cost us more money. It's a hole in the ground we're pouring money in.
Contractors are required.
I just want to point out that the table is here generally to respond to questions, but once the question's been answered, you don't have to continue. Okay? Before I call on you, Joel, Carly had his hand up first. Go ahead.
Yes, I did a renovation 6 years ago now. We did have a dumpster, so I paid ABC Brothers to pull it away. And I think, I agree with John, it should be required. And secondly, I think that if I have that, I should be paying for the dump fees. So I think it would be a good idea to have contractors and use, to have a scale and charge for that. I think it's just a part of doing business. They charge the person who's building the house, and that's the way it works.
Joanne? I work for Newbury, and I enforce our codes, and I know Courtney probably could speak to it for Bethel. Both towns require dumpsters on site for construction debris. The problem is, there's no drivers, there's not enough dumpsters, and we can't get them emptied in a timely fashion on these construction sites. So they got required in both towns, so the construction debris. ABC, RGs, Casella, it's hard to get the containers landed here in town.
Yes, I believe John did have a question that Sharon was going to answer. And the question he had is, does the town have any ordinances that address the dumpster for contractors that Joel just spoke to? Yes, Bethel has. You all amended it last year. It was up, if you're going to have a value of up to $50,000, you needed to have a container on site. It is now 25, I believe, so it was lowered last year. There was a bit of confusion in how that was to be laid out, and with our code enforcement now, they have that ordinance in play. So hopefully you will see a difference there. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 23? Just by way of reminding you, this is to raise and appropriate a sum of $825,955 for the solid waste department. If there's no other debate, I will call for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 23, raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 23 carries. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $768,710 for the Public Works Department. The Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Thank you. Article 24 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 24, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 24 carries. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,585 for the town office facility. The Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval.
Second.
The Article 25 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 25, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 25 carries. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $29,175 for the fire station facility. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval.
Second.
Article 26 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 26, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 26 carries. Article 27, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $17,300 for the town garage facility. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Article 27 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 27, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 27 carries. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $19,395 for the ambulance building facility. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Is there, sorry? I believe that was a move and a second. Thank you. Article 28 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 28, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 28 carries. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $4,000 for general assistance. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 29? I didn't hear it. Thank you. You guys are getting ahead of me. It's not a bad thing. Article 29 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 29, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 29 carries. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $75,220 for the Recreation Department. Is there a motion on? Thank you. Article 30 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 30, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 30 carries. Article 31, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $14,320 for Angevine Park.
Second.
Thank you. Article 31 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. Article 31 carries. Article 32, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $18,030 for the Fountain Park and Cemetery. Article 32 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? I'm sorry, Candace, did you want the floor? Yes. Candace, you have the floor. Go ahead, Sharon.
10,000 has been removed from this budget to put in the capital budget, which is where it should be, because it's for restoration of cemetery maintenance stones. That way the money can be carried forward every year. If it's in this expense budget, it drops off and we lose it. So we set up a reserve account for the maintenance.
Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard on the motion on Article 32? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 32, thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 32 carries. I think officially we're almost halfway there. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm in a sauna. Article 33, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $1,000 for the 5th grade trip to Boston. There are competing recommendations from the Select Board and the Budget Committee. Is there anyone who wishes to make a motion?
I make a motion for $1,000.
$1,000 has been moved and seconded for the contribution to the 5th grade trip to Boston. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Aaron.
Does this unilaterally fund every 5th grader regardless of whether funded?
The question was, does it mean everybody gets to go, regardless of their circumstances? And I'm not sure what the answer was. Yes or no? It was a yes.
I think he meant from their residency, but
Yeah,
yes,
president.
but yes is the answer. It
Okay.
goes to the pool.
Yeah,
Thank you. Darren?
yes, everybody goes.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 33? Liz?
I think maybe this was your question, but if fifth graders reside in this town but attend a different school that doesn't offer this trip, do they have an opportunity to go to Boston? I think that might have been, if not, that would be my question.
Is there anyone who can answer Liz's question?
This $1,000 will be sent to the school that has requested it, but the trip that is at that school,
And what school is that?
the school right here.
Great, please rest the heart.
That's it.
Thank you, just want to hear the name, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 33, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 33 carries. Article 34. To see if the town will... Yes. You may. Lori, would you stand so I can hear you?
I have attended many town meetings where the sums that go to, community facilities and outside agencies have been combined so that we can act on them as one, meaning Article 34 through Article, Article 46. And one item, since the Select Board and the Budget Committee are recommending the same amounts and not have to go through these one by one. Is that a possibility, Madam Moderator?
Lori, it's a possibility, but answering your point of order question. And to do that, you would make a motion to take items 34 through 46 as one motion. If that is your intent, or someone would make that motion, we would then decide as a group whether we're willing to do that. And if we are willing to do that, we would then take it as a group. Does that answer your question, Lori?
Yes, it does. And I would make that motion. Can I have a second?
So it has been moved and seconded to take warrant items, Article 34 through 46, as one vote. And I will answer, if you choose to do that, you can still ask questions about the individual pieces, but in the end, we would vote once, and either all of those would be adopted or not, or there could be amendments offered to individual pieces. Candace?
I believe last year, we had them all lumped in together, and some of them, like this one, I believe was one of them, we didn't like the number that they put in. So it created chaos, and then we had to do an amendment for each one that we wanted to change. So that's why this year, I believe, they decided to do an individual one, so we could just go through them quickly, and if it was something we had problems with, we didn't have to hold up the whole thing.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't know your name. Pat?
Not all the amounts are the same, so I don't think we should go with grouping them together.
Thank you. I've got Melissa.
Yes, thank you, Beth. So that was also my point. There are at least 5 of them where the amount recommended is not what we're voting on.
Thank you, Joelle.
But the Select Board and Budget Committee recommended.
I'm sorry, Joelle, I'm not even sure I understand what you're saying. Could you stand up, please?
So Pat's saying that last year, some of these amounts were different?
No, this year.
This year?
Yes. Not all the amounts are the same as what is proposed.
Yeah. What we recommend is for
The recommendations are not the same as what you're to vote on.
Thank you.
Liz?
Yeah, so for example, Article 42 is an example of that. There's a different amount, there's a zero, and there's other, and I don't want to do chaos. I don't want to present chaos, I just want to discuss the items individually. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the proposed amendment which would combine those several articles? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of doing this as one vote, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The proposal fails. So I'm going to go back to Article 34. Valiant effort, Lori, though. Brave. Article 34, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $20,500 for the Bethel Library. The Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Thank you. Article 34 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 34, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 34 passes. Article 35, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $15,000 for the museums of the Bethel Historical Society for operations. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Article 35 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 35, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 35 carries. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $600 for the museums of the Bethel Historical Society for a band for the July 4th picnic. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Article 36 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 36, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 36 carries. Article 37.
I move that the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $19,520 for the food pantry district exchange.
Is there a second?
Second.
Article 37 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Candace.
We have a rough year, people. Christmas time, we had to light fire. I'll tell you, you got a problem, call the district exchange. I just let it out. I had no clothes. I couldn't get home for 2 weeks. I went to Bethel Exchange, and they gave me everything I needed. I run a ministry. I can work in ministry. Probably somebody in here called me up because you didn't have any food. I can call Bethel Exchange, and I can go get, I can eat food. And you will be fast, and your family will be fast. The Bethel Exchange is an amazing, community-driven. People donate clothes, they donate food. We are our local in provisions and a lot of stuff over there. And it's a heck of a lot cheaper, a heck of a lot more certain, you get a lot more bang for our buck with Bethel Exchange than would be, people have to go to general assistance. So I would suggest, I would highly recommend that we approve this whole amount of the $19,520 for that.
Yeah, I just want to know if the selectmen can explain why they're recommending 10,000.
Is there someone at the select board who would answer Andrew's question?
I hate to be the one to answer this. The reason is that it's kind of a double dip. We pay taxes for general assistance and a lot of other programs, and now we're competing for our dollar. And in looking after the taxpayer, we came up with a compromise from the almost 20,000 to making it half. It's a fine line of what's right and wrong. I guess it's up to each and every one of us to figure out what is right for us. But there's, as a board, we were looking at the taxpayers taking out money out of their pocket at taxes and then donating to. And a lot of these line items were thought of that way. So that's the answer.
Ron.
With the purchase to give them cash back for those that are on sale. And I also plow it for free, so I have a connection to them. If you look at Article 29, most cities and towns, their general assistance is, I mean, $4,000 for general assistance. Not for you, we're very lucky people. We just approved $15,000 for the museum, which is not life-changing or necessary, which I vote with. If we can vote $15,000 for the museum, we can't vote $19,000 to feed our neighbors, I got the capacity.
You know,
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 37? Carly?
Yes, I volunteered there, and I know that Dave, as the executive director, not only is it his full-time job now, but he's quite successful in raising lots of money and getting contributions of all kinds and sorts. So I think it would almost be insulting not to give this amount in addition to what he is able to generate and what they've created in that new building. So I recommend we vote. Thanks.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard on the motion on Article 37? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 37 carries. Article 38. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 for the Bethel Area Chamber of Commerce for Summerfest and fireworks. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend $500. Is there a motion on Article 38?
Make the to vote with the select board and budget committee for $500. Second.
The amount of $500 has been moved and seconded for the motion on Article 38. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? John?
Assuming I'm doing this right, I'll apologize up front if I'm not. This is my first time. I would like to recommend an amendment that we fund it at the amount of $5,000. Full disclosure, as other people have said, I am president of the chamber this year, so yes, I have a dog in the fight. But we've been in Bethel for 9 years.
John, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Because essentially, what you would be arguing for is defeat of the main motion so that you could offer an alternative, correct?
Yes.
Okay, well,
I need to sit down and shut up now.
not yet, but close.
I told you I'd screw it up.
I'm not, I don't have a dog in the fight. So, but typically, the main motion, if you're changing it just to that piece is in the motion itself. So I think.
So I need to wait until hers is voted on.
Well, correct.
Okay.
Well, you're welcome, sir, if you want to make a pitch for defeating her motion, because if her motion passes, I'm not going to come back to you. See?
Anyway, most everybody probably knows every year for I don't know how long, like I said, we've been here 9 years, the town has paid for the fireworks and the chamber has provided the labor to set it up, get it done, let everybody enjoy it. And from everything we've seen, it's a very popular event, not only with locals, but also with people visiting the town, whether they're here for Summerfest or just here on vacation. And my understanding, and this is hearsay, so you got to take it with a whole shaker of salt. It seems like the reason for the reduction in the recommended amount was there was a lot of concern that the chamber was going to dry up and blow away. That was based on an unfortunate misunderstanding. The chamber has never been in any danger of going anywhere. The golf tournament's coming up. All the sponsorships sold. All 36 teams sold. Summerfest is going like crazy, as you've probably seen notices in the paper. So, we're not going anywhere. We love doing the fireworks for the town. But, we need to have those funds to cover the fireworks so that everybody can enjoy it.
So again, just to remind you, the motion on Article number 38 is the recommended $500. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to that motion? I see no hands, so I'm going to call, whoops. Okay, well, just say your name and you have the floor. Lee.
My question is the bulk of the 5,000 for the fireworks?
John, can you answer? Hang on a second. We'll get an answer to your question, Lee.
$4,500 is the charge for the fireworks, and the rest just goes for the administration of Summerfest in general.
Did you have something you wanted to add, Lee?
I'll just add as a real animal lover that I'm ashamed of us for putting so many animals into distress so many times a year around here.
every weekend at Sunday River. And I know this is a tradition, American tradition and all, but you've seen one fireworks, you've seen them all, and I'm just sick over all the wild animals and domesticated animals that are suffering every time this happens. And their owners, by the way.
Candace.
Heat launched, but I will also add, while we do this mostly for patriotic reasons, it's horrible time on veterans. Fireworks, bring back a lot of blackjacks, a lot of PTSD stuff.
Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard in the main motion, which is the $500 for the Bethel Area Chamber of Commerce and Summerfest? Seeing no hands, I'm going to ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Article 39, to see if the town will raise and appropriate a sum of $4,000 for the Bethel Area Chamber of Commerce for holiday village decorations. The Select Board recommends zero. Is there a motion on Article 39?
I would entertain the motion to go with the Select Board recommendation of $0 for Article 39.
Second.
Article 39 has been moved and seconded with an amount of $0. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? John?
Probably pointless, I understand, but just for the heck of it, everybody loves the Christmas decorations. Yes, they do cost money to put up. I love Christmas, I'll fess up. And I do know that a lot of locals love them. And again, for anybody that doesn't know, we have Holiday House on Main Street, and I know that all of our skiing guests absolutely love the way that the town looks in the winter, but especially around Christmas. So I would love to see the Christmas decorations up.
John?
Hello, everybody. Last winter, I was currently employed for a said organization. I'm just going to get that off the table now. I was the one that ended up decorating the town for Christmas. I did some extracurricular projects on my own time, with my own dime, to add to the town's decorations. Anybody that knows me, I love Christmas. I am the Christmas guy. And I believe this can be done for significantly less money by different organizations who subcontracting. I would recommend zero as my original motion entailed. Thank you.
Ma'am?
Hi, I just wanted to talk about why we originally would, for everybody, but why we voted for zero was we were actually talking about a different way we could do holiday decorations. We thought it would be more appropriate, sorry, for public works, or potentially doing some type of competition or something like that with the Main Street businesses and having it be a more community spearheaded thing. It occurs to me after we voted for this that, well, we didn't put it in the budget anywhere else, so if it's not in here, it's not anywhere. So just something to think about.
Melissa?
Is the $4,000 simply for decorations of the actual product, or does that include the labor of volunteers to put it up, or does Public Works currently help with that now?
I believe it's a combination. I'll be honest, I don't know the specifics on that as much as I do some of the other stuff. But, you know, we've had a lot of people like John put a lot into. Sorry.
No.
I'm done.
Okay. The other John?
Could you please repeat the question? I can answer that if you don't mind.
Sure, I think we've got most of the answer, but does the $4,000 cover the actual materials, the decorating materials?
During my time, pretty heavy. There were definitely some areas in that budget that could have been cut. Things have been done the same way for a very long time, which is why that same amount was recommended, to my knowledge. Yeah, it is a little bit swollen, and it is very, very limited any help from the town of Bethel regarding putting those decorations up. Myself last year, regarding some flags that were purchased, had to coordinate with the town public works director to get the flagpoles and install them through the company that we hired through the chamber to install the decorations, to put them up on our own time. that Bricktown was gracious enough to allow the use of the flagpole, we purchased the flags and returned them in due time. But still, there is very little, if any, physical help with anything else from the contract.
Perhaps you can answer my follow-up question, if that's okay?
And I'm having difficulty hearing you, but I can hear John now.
Sure, I had a follow-up question, and that is, what do we do with the materials afterwards? Do they go to the dump and we pay exorbitant amounts to dispose of them, or do we reuse them?
Most of the things are disposable on an annual basis.
And we can change that.
Go ahead, Vera.
I would say $0 is a little heavy-handed. I'd like to see our town, decorated for the holidays. Maybe there's a number that we can, if we don't pass this, that we can come up with a legitimate number that everybody would be happy with, that the chamber could work with, that the town could work with, and we could still have pretty lights around Christmas. I don't want to be the only town that looks like it's the home of the Grinch.
Okay. John.
I will speak to that again and let you know that there is some other community members here, such as the Light Up Main Street Parade that happens in December. Local woman Stephanie Herbeck, she's the one that coordinates that on her own time. She rallies up the volunteers and the help. The chamber was of assistance to some degree with marketing last year, but we had a wonderful turnout for that event, and I am almost 100% confident that we can rally people together and put something together as a community ourselves without paying the $5. I'm up.
Here.
If you budget it, you don't have to spend it, but at least it's there if we need it. That's all.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? John.
Like he was saying, if we budget something and it's there, I could care less, if the town takes it over. Like he was saying, I don't want to live in Grinchville, but as long as we have Christmas decorations, it doesn't matter to me who's in charge of them, who puts them up, how they're done. So maybe if we did at least have a little bit of money in the budget, and then at that point, the select board would have the option of seeing if they could come up with some type of, program that they thought would work well, and the money's there for Christmas decorations. So.
Marilyn, you were the next person on my list.
John, that does sound good, but that's just not how this works. If we vote for this money here and now, we cut the check to you because that's what the warrant says. So we can't kind of shift things around now. But like I said, the original reason was because we thought we could do it another way, a better way, a more community-oriented way instead of just having it be a chamber thing. And I still think that's right, but it's a little too late this year to do that. So it's kind of go with the chamber or go with the community and hope that we can all pull it together outside of the chamber.
John.
Just out of curiosity, would it be possible for the chamber and the select board to work together? And then it would still be the chamber with the money, but we would still be looking at whatever programs that you folks had thought of. I didn't know if something like that's doable. Just food for thought for later.
Yeah, I don't see why that couldn't happen. But, you're not compelled to do that based on this warrant. That's the only thing.
We just want what's best for the town, honestly.
Ron.
It's been moved and seconded to end debate. We've done this before, we'll do it again. It takes a 2/3 vote of those of you that are here. If you wish to stop debating this and move it directly to a vote.
Here I am telling everybody else, right? And I'm forgetting. Sorry. We've done this once before. It takes 2/3 of the folks that are here. If you vote yes, you end debate. If 2/3 of you do, and we'll go directly to the vote. If it fails, we'll continue until no one else has a comment to make.
Can you restate the motion on the floor? I'm sorry.
We're not voting on that yet, but I will when we do. Right now, we're voting on whether we want to stop talking about it or not.
Oh, stop talking.
Okay?
Okay, got it.
All right. If you're in favor, stop talking about it, raise your hands. There you go, hands down. Thank you. All those opposed? There was one. Sorry. The motion passes. So, the motion to end debate passes. The motion, Article 39, is to raise $0 for the Bethel Area Chamber of Commerce for Holiday Village decorations. If you are in favor of that, you will vote yes. If you are opposed, you will vote no. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down, all those opposed. Well, hell's bells. Okay, put your hands down for a moment. We're going to have to do this again. When you vote yes, I need you to keep your hand up, and I need some help. I need 2 people to count.
I probably shouldn't do it on blind spot.
Who's going to be my second counter? Okay, Christy's coming. So all those in favor of the $0 for the holiday decorations to the chamber, please raise your hands and leave them up. Ladies, can you come tell me your counts, please?
And she got the ones in the back.
Yeah, but I need to know what they are. You can put your hands down now. We'll be back to you in just a second.
How many did you have? 6 in the pictures.
Thank you. Thank you. All those opposed, please raise your hands. Again, please leave them up.
You're really tight.
The yeses win. Thank you. Thank you for your patience in counting those. The vote was 49 to 31. I know that sounds like a lot, but when you're looking at pink papers up here, it really can't tell until you count them. So thank you. We are now on Article 40. Article 40 reads, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $1,000 for project graduation. The Select Board and Budget Committee recommend $500. Is there a motion on Article 40?
I move $1,000 for project graduation.
$1,000 has been moved and seconded for project graduation in Article 40. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion?
Just want to say, I think we need.
Candace, can you wait till I call on you? That will help. Candace, you have the floor.
Anyway, I just think we need to do all we can to keep our kids safe.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion? Ron?
Yes, I understand the majority of the kids this year went to project graduation, all at 2 or 3, is my understanding. They went to project graduation. $1,000 for keeping the kids off the street and safe. We've passed, I don't know, $800,000, $900,000, we're up $100,000 when you think about it. $500 difference, I don't think about
Darren?
Project graduation is probably the single most important thing we can do for our graduating seniors, period, end of story.
Aaron?
What is project graduation?
I would like to answer Aaron's question. Darren?
Project graduation is a program that's been in the schools forever. And basically, the school seniors, after graduation, will bus to a location where it's totally kept free. They spend the night. They have all sorts of activities. When I was in high school, we went to the racquetball club. That's how old I am, people. Spent the entire night. The morning you have breakfast, and you are so tired by that time, you don't even think about drinking beer. It's a great program. It needs to be funded.
If I may, Aaron, it actually started because of a car accident that killed some seniors in Strat 17. And I can't remember the year, but it was very sad, and it became a project that most high schools in the state use as a way of keeping graduates safe. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 40? Oh my goodness.
It started in 1980 because I was about to make a graduate and we were talking about
Thank you. Now I know how old I am. Thank you for adding that. Yes, ma'am. I just have to ask a question. There's nothing before the body at the moment.
I just want to say.
No, wait a minute. You didn't answer my question. Normally you can't talk because there's nothing before the body. You were answering Aaron's question. Do you want to speak to part of graduation?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're not from town.
I actually am a resident. I just didn't register. She's not registered to vote, but she's a resident of Bethel.
Okay.
I just wanted to put in, I was actually looking at this the other day, and there was multiple fatalities actually from Telstar, which was a big question I had when the guys started as well. So it's actually within our district.
Thank you. So I'm looking to see if there are other hands now regarding Article 40. I'm not seeing any, so I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 40, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion, Article 40, carries. Article 41, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $1,000 for age-friendly community initiative.
So moved. Second.
Article 41 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 41, raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 41 carries. Article 42, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $900 for Bethel area arts and music. Select Board recommend $0. Is there a motion on Article 42? Candace?
Motion for the sum of $0.
Is there a second? Sorry, sir, is that a second? Thank you. $0 has been moved and seconded for the Bethel area arts and music in Article 42. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Ma'am, I don't know your name. Brooke.
Can the board explain why they're recommending $0?
Is there someone on the board who could explain your recommendation? Go ahead, ma'am.
It was decided at the time that $800 would be a super easy GoFundMe.
Lucy?
I challenge anyone to be the least artistic person in this town, but music, art, you name it. But band does an amazing amount of bringing energy and people and spending in this town. I started the Music, Art, and Agriculture program to help our farmers during the pandemic. And almost all the work, whether it's recruiting artists or designing the program, making that, is done by band for free to help that program go on. So I do think we do a lot for the community.
Eliza?
I just wanted to share with what Lucy said. I think it's deeply disappointing that the board doesn't recommend $900 for children's art programming when the board does recommend thousands for others. And I think that, like Lucy said, this program enriches the community and is available for many, many kids after school in the summer. So I would absolutely support giving children $900 per year.
Lee?
It's just as, last year, my husband did a fundraiser at the gym, selling pottery for band because they had run out of money for the kids to do their singing at the gym. And I think they got a couple $1,000, but the point is, you don't have volunteers like that every single year. So you need machines.
Sarah?
Hi. I just wanted to clarify this one because I am part of BAM, so you probably wonder why. But this was asked specifically to fund the art fair, the price tag for renting the space to have the winter art fair. And I think we were just concerned about passing that on to the taxpayers. But it has nothing to do, the ask is not for the children's programming and everything else. So I just wanted to clarify that, if that helps.
Liz?
I just wanted to say, if we could if we could tonight take out the word art and music, we could actually put in there community experiences, youth experiences, visitor experiences, which actually touched on a lot of these articles. That's what I believe, in my experiences, that BAM does. That winter art market, I'm amazed at how many people go to that. Thank you for clarifying. I was wondering where this would go, because arts and music is sometimes a really personal thing.
I'm going to vote for it because the experiences that this nonprofit offers here for visitors and community, youth and all, is excellent.
Melissa?
Thank you. I want to point out there are lots of great associations doing great things in the town of Bethel. And I think about the music community band, which, plays in all of our ceremonies, right? But they're not part of this. They do their own fundraising. And I think that's what the point is here, right? Those are specialty projects that raise their own funds for people to enjoy. It's not that we don't appreciate them. It's just a specialty interest.
Sarah?
I also just wanted to let you know that part of the school budget goes to BAM to provide programming for kids. So just know that there is money that the community is giving towards BAM and programming for children.
So as a reminder, we're still on Article 42, and the motion before the body is to raise and appropriate $0 for the Bethel area arts and music. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion? Lori?
Can I offer an amendment to the main motion?
I don't know. What does it say?
I would like to offer an amendment to award $500 to BAM for the art market.
Yes, you can make that. You can propose that amendment, Lori. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
So an amendment to the main motion has been made to change the number from $0 to $500 for BAM. Everybody understands the proposed amendment? Is there anyone who wishes to speak to it? If not, then I'm going to ask for your vote. If you're in favor of the proposed amendment, which is allocating, raising and appropriating $500 for BAM, you raise your hands yes. If you're opposed, you raise no. This is just the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment to $500, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed. The motion carries. That's the amendment. So you've now amended the main motion. We're going to vote for this again. We've amended the main motion so that instead of $0, the amended motion before the body is to spend $500 or to raise and appropriate $500 for this purpose. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the amended motion? Then I'm going to assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor of the amended motion for $500 for BAM, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. So the amended motion is the $500. Article 43, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $500 for the Cancer Center of Western Maine. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 43? Article 43 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 43 carries. Article 44, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $2,212 for Androscoggin Home Health Care. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 44? Second. Article 44 is moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Candace.
Yeah, why is the Select Board and Budget Committee recommending more than what was requested? So we are honest? Okay, well, they requested 2,212. Oh, okay.
Are you all set, Candace? Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 44? Janet?
Explain what's the Androscoggin Home Health budget, what are we funding? I mean, I understand their program, but what are we giving?
What do these contributions provide for town residents? Is that what you're asking about,
Yes.
Janet?
Yep.
Is there someone who could answer? Is there anybody here from Androscoggin Home Health Care? Lori, can you add something to answer that question?
Former employee of Androscoggin Home Health Care,
often did the presentations at town meeting, and I can tell you that the dollars that are requested for various towns go to their care for people who are uninsured. They have no insurance, and they go out and provide services even when there is no insurance. So it's a very important piece of the equation.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 44?
I will.
Oh, Merrill? Merrill has the floor.
Just to speak to what it was asked for, it's looking like it's a budget allocation based kind of on the numbers of people from Bethel that this agency works with in their overall budget.
Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 44, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 44 carries. Article 45, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $4,000 for Seniors Plus. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Is there a motion on Article 45? Article 45 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 45, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 45 carries. Article 46, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $4,900 for Community Concepts. The Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Thank you. The recommended amount has been moved and seconded in Article 46. Joelle, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Can the select board tell me what this money goes for?
Use the operating budget. It goes toward their operating budget, and they list how many Bethel residents that they serve. And they actually asked for more money than that. And this is what they were given last year. But it's based on the percentages of Bethel residents.
Thank you.
Anyone else who has a question or a comment on motion on Article 46? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 46, raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 46 carries. Article 47, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $45,100 for the municipal property and casualty insurance. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Thank you. Article 47 has been moved and seconded as read. I got to read faster. Anyone who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 47? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 47 carries. Article 48, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $648,658 for employee benefits. There is a list of those benefits with that total, again, $648,658. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Article 48 has been moved and seconded as both read and printed. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Ron?
Could we just get an explanation of the extra $100,000 from last year? Look like it's up about
Go ahead, Sharon.
The increase is due to the increase in the insurance. It's also the retirement plan offered here is the main PERS, formerly known as Main State Retirement. When more employees are enrolled in the Main State Retirement, the main PERS, then the town has an additional percentage that they have to pay in that. So it's basically, the main PERS is up by $20,000. The medical insurance is up. The health we have a health reimbursement plan. That is up because there are more employees in that, as well as the flexible spending plan. The cost, the company that does the paperwork for us for both those plans, there's an increase. Those costs, that was $6,700. That is now being budgeted with this plan, this budget here, because it's employee benefits. It was formerly in the current year, it was budgeted in another budget, but now it's budgeted with the benefit plan. So there's a variety of increases. The Social Security is higher in this budget. That's where the Social Security is budgeted because that's also based on increased wages and more employees. So it's a combination of all of those things that totaled the $100,000 increase.
Thank you. Ron?
Thank you for that. It's a pleasure to get proper answers, and you've done a fantastic job. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments regarding the motion on Article 48? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 48, raise your hands, please. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 48 carries. Article 49, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $100,460 for debt service. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Article 49 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 49, raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 49 carries. Article 50, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $305,987 for the Airport Department, pending action on Article 7. Select Board and Budget Committee recommend approval. Article 50 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Ron?
Just quickly, and I don't need the exact figure, just so the taxpayers that don't use the airport have a rough idea of what we're paying. So, is that some of that reimbursement for the airport? You said we pay 5% of the cost roughly. Is this the 300 what the town pays towards the airport, or is this the total budget for the airport?
Total budget for the airport.
So just in rough dollars, can you tell us what the taxpayers are actually on the hook for at the airport? Just roughly, I mean, within $5,000.
This amount of money, this has nothing to do with the 5%. That's when we get grants. The federal FAA pays 90% of the grant, DOT pays 5%, and the town pays 5%. There is $15,000 in here, which is going to be our share of the 5% of one of the grants that we're going to be going out for this year, this coming year.
So I'm still slightly confused. Is this 300 grand all taxpayer money that goes towards the airport?
It is, yes.
And nothing comes back in, like, nothing comes back in fuel sales?
Yes. What we have is, we have a revenue source, but we can't do a net budget. Okay, we have to do the gross budget. Whatever we're going to spend, in this case for the airport, like all the other budgets, is $305,000. We have revenue that comes in for the airport, and one of them is from the sale of fuel oil. And this year, we have about $120,000 that's coming in from the sale of fuel. We also have hangar leases. That's a little under $7,000 that we take in for that. If you look at the, under Article 66, it will show some of the revenues that we take in from the airport. Another source of revenue is let me see, there's three big ones. Oh, the coal block, not the coal block, the $43,000 a year comes in from the sale of the property that the airport had. And which is the Messies. It's, what is it called? The correct, Main Energy. They pay $43,000 a year because the town, the airport sold them property, so they pay us. So we get that $43,000 plus the net profit from the sale of the fuel we sell, and also from the hangar leases.
So basically, I'm not going to get to a cost of town, I mean, just wrong.
That could be about right, yes. So when you look,
Yeah. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
I have Candace, then Melissa, and then it looks like Randy. Thank you. Melissa?
Thank you. So, I apologize, because when we talked about the airport before, I thought I just speak up a little. Absolutely. So when we talked about the airport before in an earlier article, I think I misunderstood, because you had mentioned grants. So I assumed that the town currently gets grants, either from the FAA or from the county, to help with the operating costs. Is that accurate?
We don't get grants for operating costs, we get grants for projects. They're FAA grants for capital projects. And FAA, we're in the process of looking at 2 different ones that we're going to be sending out for this year. And the FAA gives us 90% of whatever that grant cost of the grant. The Department of Transportation is 5%, and then we have to, fund the other 5%, which this budget includes $15,000, which is going to be our 5% share for the next grant that we're going to be applying for. But it's not for operations. This is the operations budget for the airport.
So the only opportunity to offset operations or offset the cost to the taxpayers for operations is fuel and hangar fees, is that right?
And there's, we're going to get tie-down leases, but we're not getting that right now. The other is the $43,000 that we get every year. So the sale of the fuel, the lease, and the hangar leases, that's an offsetting revenue, but you can't budget the gross budget less the revenue and then just approve the net.
So who sets those fees? Who sets the cost for the fuel, the hangar fees, and the tie-down fees?
The airport authority sets the cost. We're in the process right now of amending all of the leases for the hangars. The airport authority and myself set those fees. The cost of the fuel, the last time we ordered 8,500 gallons of fuel. There was a cost to that. We add the cost of the credit card fees that we have to pay for that. And then, so the last round of fuel, and it'll answer a question or a statement that was made earlier. Right now, we're selling our gas for $6.05, and it cost us $5. So we're making a $1.05 profit on the sale of a gallon of fuel oil at the airport.
Could we ever expect to not have to fund the airport? Could it ever be self-sustaining?
I can't answer that question.
Thank you.
Randy?
I was just going to address, unfortunately, he just left, but I just wanted to address the short of it is, if you read in your calendar report, we did almost $200,000 in fuel sales, so we have to buy the fuel to sell it. So there's $200,000. And then the snow removal went to $85,000, $87,000, $89,000. So you add those together and you get pretty close to $305,000. We're not running a big fat budget out there buying fun toys and things like that. So that would have explained the short answer to his question is that's where it is. But unlike other departments, we do have revenue sources.
Thank you. Again, we are on Article 5, and the amount of $305,987 for the airport department is the motion before the body. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 50, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 50 carries. Article 51.
Yes, Lori?
Request that we take up Articles 51 through 58 as one motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to entertain a motion on Articles 51 through 58 as one vote.
What a girl.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion of doing them together? You're not voting to pass it yet, but are you willing to do these together? That's the question. Is there anyone who wants to speak to the motion? Okay, then I'll just ask for your vote. All those in favor of taking this as one group, please raise your hand. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. Is there anyone who wishes to speak now? The main motion is the entire contents. I'm going to stop talking for a couple of minutes so you can glance down through these and you know what you're looking at. Okay? I could read them all, but I don't have to.
Which numbers?
Starting with 51 and including down to 58.
Do you need water? There's bottles over there. Something with water?
It's all right. Put a bottle down here.
Huh? Jane. How are you even supposed to have a meeting about that? I feel so wrong. It's weird.
Looks like we might be ready. Now, at this point, you could make a comment or ask a question on any of the items from Article 51, inclusive of Article 58, if you have any. This would be the time. And if not, I'm going to ask for your vote. If you vote yes, you'll be approving the actions that are listed on this page, beginning with Article 51 and ending with Article 58. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Articles 51 through 58 carries. Article 59.
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
I make the motion that the town appropriate the sum of $1,175,500 for capital improvements, amending revaluation reserve to $350,000.
Candace, I have to interrupt you because when the dollar figure of the total is in the article as printed, it cannot be increased. I didn't make this up.
I said, that the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1 million.
I know what you said, I wrote it down, but I want you to hear what I'm saying. The law says you can't increase the dollar figure in a motion if it's in the article. That's the cap. You can introduce a number that's smaller, but you can't, and I can't accept a motion for a number that's larger. Because the warrant is published and it's on notice of everyone in town, and you can't make it higher because you're at the meeting. You can make it the amount in the article or a figure lower, but I can't entertain a motion to make it larger.
Okay, then I we do $875,500, making such adjustments as is needed to change the revaluation reserve amount to $350,000 to cover the evaluations that the state has determined that we have to do, because we're under 50% of valuation is determined by the state tax assessor.
Candace, do you have this written down? Would you mind giving me a copy of it, because I'm going to need to repeat it, and I couldn't write it down as fast as you said it.
Okay, I'll repeat it.
Could I have a copy of it? And I'll give it back to you.
I have the amount that I need to change.
Would you bring it up here so I can see it? I'm not trying to stop you, I'm just trying to make sure I get it right.
You can't raise the cover by raising the firing we do. And we do not have enough money in the reserves to pay for it. With adding 50,000, we need to add $300,000 to this one. Make it 350,000.
Which one is this one?
Revaluation reserve.
Okay.
And reducing other such.
So you want to change the numbers that are in here that's to keep us here?
Yep.
Is that
Because
what
I
you're
want,
saying?
yeah, I did just want to raise that to there so that we
Yeah.
can cover that.
But you can't.
Yep.
So don't go away.
Yep.
So the only place that I'm understanding you, you're wanting to change this number to a total of
350,000.
Okay.
You have to negotiate the debt.
Okay. That keeps us here.
Yep.
No, it doesn't. We have to take it out.
Yeah, and then amending other such articles, line items as necessary to reach that.
Oh, okay. Do you want this group to decide how to do that? Or you want the board to decide?
The board can decide how to do
That's
it.
important because other than that, we're going to be here trying to
Yep.
figure it out.
Nope.
Okay.
She's got to get a second.
I believe, and Candace will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I understand the motion. Candace's motion is to leave the number as was written in the warrant of $875,500, but to increase the allocation in revaluation reserve, which is currently listed as $50,000, to change it to $350,000, and to make the necessary adjustments to other line items in order to absorb the $300,000 that needed to be added to the revaluation reserve. So it's the dollar amount in the total, and then an adjustment to the revaluation reserve, which is an increase of $300,000, and then leaving the select board to adjust and find the $300,000 in the other items on the list. Have I got that, Candace? Thank you. Well, in a minute, I'll come back to you, okay? Is there a second? If there's no second, then the motion fails as a result of a second, Candace. So,
I make a motion that we appropriate $875,500 for the capital improvements as listed on the warrant article.
Article 59 has been moved and seconded as read and printed. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 59? Candace?
When the town's valuation for the state drops below 80% of what it really should be, you have to have a rebound. Because of activities that were done by previous administrations and continue, we are in violation of state statute because we're not collecting personal property taxes. All these businesses in towns, all these hotels, motels, the construction companies, they're not paying taxes on their shelving, like at Family Dollar and what have you, which is a violation of state law. So the state rejected the town's reported valuation this year and said we are paying less, we are set at less than 50%. And we now have to do a revaluation. Rockford did a revaluation 5 years ago. They only had to do real estate, no properties, because they, every year, get the forms filled out for our personal property. And the industrials were included because every year we pay Rockford pays an industrial appraiser to come in and appraise that. I have been trying for, ever since I found out about this mess, how much is that in reserves? Because we are looking at probably over $500,000 in order to get a complete revaluation. So I'm hoping there's $150,000 in there to cover this thing, we have to do. And this is going to drastically affect our state government share, what we get through subsidies and all this. So we can either bite the bullet tonight, move the money in, so that we can get our property tax problem straightened out, or we can come back for a special meeting later in the year, because the state is required of it.
Meryl? Michelle?
I'm gonna pass it to Michelle. Sure, she's well outside. It's just, yeah, I didn't turn it off. I have to push it.
Oh, thank you. Testing. Yes, I think Candace's original concern was putting money into the reevaluation reserve, and we do have a reserve, and if the 50,000 is approved, it will raise the balance to $255,693.93 towards our reserve. Did I read that correctly?
210. This is the balance if approved.
I stand corrected. With the 50, it would be $210,000. I welcome anybody to attend an assessor's meeting. You can learn more about the revaluation upon the budget that gets approved. We will then, in September, set the commitment for your taxes. I will share with you from the assessor's meeting, the reevaluation has come up. Companies are available to do that in about 2 years, and we have estimated prices, well, I think it was around $300,000. So we will be building up our reserve to meet that in a couple years. Thank you.
Joelle?
Can you tell me whether or not a reval would actually clean up or clarify the personal property issues in Bethel?
The personal property and evaluations are two different things.
Thank you.
I have Candace.
The state has told that we have to do both real estate and personal property taxes because we aren't collecting it and there is no record, there is no reporting, there is nothing on which to base the actual value of the town of Bethel. Rockford, like I said, paid $300,000 5 years ago for just the real property, not including industrials, which are done annually. And they did not have to do personal property tax, which we will have to do. And it's, from what I gather from speaking to the assessors elsewhere, we'll get $500,000 and the state's not going to let us.
I have two people on my list. I have Amy, and then, sir, I can't read your name, but it begins with an R. Randall? I'll be back to you in a minute. Amy, over the floor.
Two questions. The first one is, has the town received notification from the state of Maine saying that this is an issue?
Yes.
Sharon, can you use the mic?
Not that it's an issue, they've just cited that we don't do personal property taxes.
And it was sent to every town in the state of Maine.
That letter was actually sent, and Michelle's correct, that letter was sent to all municipalities, not just Bethel.
And my second question is, did I hear you correctly that the people who would be doing reevaluations are booking 2 years out?
They are booking 2 years, so that's one of the other problems.
Randall?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to stop our conversation on the motion regarding Article 59. If you're in favor of doing that, you will vote yes. I'm not ready yet. Boy, you guys are ahead of me. You're pretty darn good. Okay, we're ready. All those in favor of talking about it, thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Okay. Now we're just going to vote on Article 15, on the motion Article 59, okay? All those in favor of the motion Article 59, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. Article 59 carries. Article 60, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the franchise fees received from the cable companies to Western Hills Access Television for broadcasting and upgrading its current infrastructure. Is there a motion on Article 60? Article 60 has been moved and seconded as read. Anybody wish to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Article 60 passes. Article 61, to see if the town will appropriate 100% of the snowmobile refund check for the purpose of maintaining snowmobile trails for the Bethel Snow Twisters Club, such maintenance to be performed only with the landowner's permission and on trails that are open for public use. Thank you. Article 61 was moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Is that John over there? John?
I have been president of the Gilead Snowmobile Club for 6 years. Bethel Snow Twisters Club surrendered 7 miles of trails to us approximately 5 years ago, and our club has been maintaining them. Full expense paid by us. And there's 2 other snowmobile clubs that maintain trails in Bethel, mine, and Greenstock Snow Sports. I would like to amend this motion to 0% to the Bethel Snow Twisters Snowmobile Club, and next year Greenstock Snow Sports. And Wilder Riders will apply for 50-50 split of the snowmobile fund money, refund money from the state of Maine.
John, keep standing up, I'm going to have to ask you a question. So you're asking to change the 100% to 0%, so that those funds this year would stay with the town? And you're recommending, and I'm not sure this is part of your motion, that's why I'm asking, that the town would consider reassigning these revenues in the future to those that are actually doing the work?
Yes.
Okay. Then, yeah, do you all understand the motion? Okay. So we have a motion for $0 with the strategy that John has suggested in Article 61. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Thank you, Amy, because I forgot to ask. I'm glad Amy's here. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands. If you're in favor of a 0% to the Bethel Snow Twisters Club this year with the strategy that John has recommended for next year, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed. Thank you. The motion carries. That was Article 61. Article 62, to see if the town will vote to reappropriate $10,000 from the cemetery restoration account to the cemetery reserve account. Article 2 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion Article 62 carries. Article 63. Yes, Lori.
Make a request that we address Articles 62 through 66 as one item.
62 just got voted on.
You've done 62, so you must be 63. So you're moving to take Article 63 through Article 66 as a group. Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded that we group these together for our discussion and vote. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to that motion of taking these together? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion of taking them together, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. So, the motion before the body at this time is to approve the actions listed in Articles 63 through 65. I'm going to be quiet so you can look these over for a minute. 56. 66. Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to any of these items, Articles 63 through 66? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of these motions, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Well, there we go. All 4 of those items pass. All those in favor? Thank you. We can call that a night. Thank you all.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome. Yeah.